Hello and welcome back to Booster Therapy, your cure for that pack cracking addiction. We're back again to crack a different kind of pack today. That's right, we're going to do a Commander deck tech for you guys, and this one's titled Jodah'S Christmas Miracles. Look at that shiny red Christmassy feel. But before we get in and see what Jodah'S Miracles are all about, let's talk about a few ways that you can support the channel. The first one is the easiest. It's completely free. You can just be a subscriber and hit the thumbs up. When you do that, you get us referred to the rest of the world of Magic and the people that watch similar content to you. So we'd love to get to know that community a little bit more, and that's one easy way to help. The other ways, we have a Patreon link below. You can become one of our patrons where we do some fun pack cracking videos just for you. Feel free to check that out. Again, link in the description. And you can also click our affiliate link for Inked Gaming. Again, the game mats you see here and a lot of the other custom stuff that we have is made through them with some high quality material, stitched edges, everything you could dream of at a very low price. And when you click the affiliate link, it helps support the channel, and you can type in the coupon code BOOSTER10 and get 10% off your order to make it even cheaper. So those are a few ways to support the channel. The other thing I want to mention is there's a Gleam link in the description that you'll notice below as well, and there's a reason for that. These Christmas miracles come with a miracle giveaway at the end, and that giveaway includes a pretty nice little ultimate box topper from one of our Ultimate Master openings. So please watch to the end of the video, because at the end of the video, that's when I'm going to show you what we're going to give away, but it's going to be some pieces to help you build what we're about to go over here. But without further ado, let's crack this gigantic pack and talk about Jodah. So, Jodah, Archmage Eternal, is a 5-color commander because of his ability down here. It's all five colors, so you get to play a 5-color deck. This is a colorless, a blue, a red, a white for a 4/3 flying. You may pay, the 5 colors of magic rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. So, if you know anything about Magic, one of the most broken things you can do is find a way to cheat out gigantic things. So Jodah is crafting some miracles for us and finding fun ways to make a giant world happen for cheap. And we're going to talk about that and how we play it off. So we're going to keep Jodah up here so you guys can all see that smile or whatever that is. It's very menacing. If you actually look really close, let's see if I can get the focus in. He's got some red eyes. Yeah, they're terrifying. Okay, so let's first talk about the lands. I don't spend a ton of time in most of these videos talking through this, but I feel kind of obligated to in this one. It's tough. You need to, as fast as possible, get to tapping for all 5 colors. So this deck, I have no basic lands in. Everything is a form of dual land or something that helps me tap for multiple colors. And when we talk about the ramp, which is kind of the next thing we'll go over here, we'll talk about how we get there pretty easily, but let's just flick through the lands. This ends up being kind of a costly part of any of these decks when you're trying to do something big and bold like this. But finding ways to tap for all color mana, Command Tower, there's your most important one, taps for all 5 in this case, is smart. And you'll notice that not all, but a lot of these are going to have the land types on it. There's a reason for that. It's Reflecting Pool is another smart one to have. It's because we're going to have things like fetch lands, and fetch lands can bring out whichever version of that we need to complete our 5-color tapping ability. You'll see things like City of Brass. There's other things like that you'll need that really can tap for everything. But the idea behind having as many as we can, even ones that I know are going to come into play tapped, like the Prairie Stream, because again we have no basic lands, is just because I can fetch for one of these lands when I'm kind of in a pinch in a situation. But I'll say this, the few times I've gotten to play this deck, I have never struggled with being able to tap for all 5 colors by turn 4 or 5. Every time I've been able to get there without sweating it too much. And we'll talk about some of the ways that happens, but a very important part are these lands. Again, I'll include this in the link below and the lands that I chose to use. You could really do this in a lot of different ways. There are better lands you could be using than what I used as well. You could do more fetches, which would make sense because I think I only have 4 or 5 in here. So But I'll include this in the deck list that I'll be posting out, so you'll see that and you'll be able to kind of look at that. So first quick card, Lightning Greaves. Every commander deck needs one. That's it. Don't want to talk about it anymore. You have a commander deck, put Lightning Greaves in it. It's awesome. So let's jump into the ramp, because the ramp is unique in this deck, or I guess kind of unique. So Fellwar Stone, I mean, it's 2 mana, and you know every opponent is going to have a color, and well, you play all 5 colors. So this is like the most efficient mana rock you could actually have in the deck. So Fellwar Stone, it's needed. Commander Sphere, again, it taps for all 5 colors. It's important, and it has that added benefit. If you need to draw a card, we can just sack it and pitch it and get a card. Chromatic Lantern, kind of the same idea. It taps for every color. It also makes it so every land you can control taps for every color. So it's like instant fixing as long as we can keep it on the board. Birds of Paradise, taps for all 5 colors. Again, it's the only mana dork I'm playing just because it lets us fix the mana so quickly. Darksteel Ingot. Darksteel thing. Indestructible, again, any color. So it's more impervious to those different artifact kills, especially if you're in a play group that has that. Hour of Promise, it lets us get 2 lands, and it doesn't matter if they're basic or not. So it's just, again, we're not looking to make zombies off this. We're just looking at cleanly getting 2 lands to completely fix when we don't have any basic lands. Farseek, again, doesn't need to be a basic land, just plains, island, swamp, or mountain. So again, having all of these dual lands in our deck is important because things like this are able to creep it out real quick. Pier's Whim, I've talked about this card a lot. I also believe, at least personally I'm speculating, I have like 50 of these. I think this card is going to go up a lot in price at some point, especially when Battle Bond is fully retired, but lets us get any land, again, that's good. So if we need City of Brass to do, you know, absolute fixing or whatever it is, that's one way, or Command Tower. Also helps you control the board a little bit with artifacts and enchantments. So if you've got, you know, you're playing in 4th seat and you've got everybody else getting their little, you know, soul rings and other things out there, this is just a clean way to like wipe all of that from them, to take them back a turn while putting yourself forward a turn by ramping any land. Zendikar Resurgence, I guess this isn't purely ramp, but it lets us draw cards off creature spells we cast. If we have fixed to the 5 mana and we have Jodah out there, we cast this 7 mana spell for 5 on turn 4 or 5, and then we're doubling all of it. So we can do 2 Jodah magical turns in every turn. And then Skyshroud Claim, it searches for 2 forests. That's what makes it so important. Again, having all these dual lands, a lot of them are the Forest Island, Forest Plains, Forest Swamp. It's letting us just, again, fix a little bit easier while we're ramping. All right, let's get to the fun part. Big, beastie, beefy creatures. That's right. This is how we present the beatdown. I'm going to give you guys my version of the super satisfying creatures in this deck. So again, turn 3 or 4, Jodah's on the board. So on turn 4 or 5, we get to start casting all of these for 5 colors. So I'm going to go through my favorites to play in this kind of format and the ones that have done me the most good in winning with this deck. So the first one is one that everybody forgot about. Magmatic Force. You know, on the surface, it seems like an ugly card, but again, you're casting this for 5 mana for 7/7. That's already kind of nice. But at the beginning of each upkeep, not your upkeep, at the beginning of each upkeep, you get to deal 3 damage to any target. So creatures, planeswalkers, or players, none of you survive against the Magmatic Force. And following on theme, we have the Tidespout Tyrant. It's similar. It's from Battle Bond, kind of the same build out. So for 5 mana, is what we're hoping, you get a 5/5 flying that whenever you cast a spell, return target permanent to its owner's hands. This thing gets out of hand really quick, and we'll talk about some of the ways we get there, especially if we have Zendikar Resurgence. We're tapping for 2 mana, so we're playing 2 spells a turn. That in itself is already good. But there's some other things that could happen that really have us firing too many spells. This is an interesting one. It's an oddball finisher, and the reason I included it is because it's so easy for us to get it out of the graveyard and do it again. Get it out of the graveyard and do it again. So the Chamber Sentry, where oftentimes you're going to make this a 5/5, that you could remove all the counters and do 5 damage to any target and then just get it right back. So just a little bit of recursion a unique ability. The next two are going to be my two favorite from the original Onslaught block, and they just help us do a lot of good. So the first one's Viscera, the Dreadful. It's just nice to kill creatures. That's the idea here. 5 mana for 5/5 flying in our case, and we can tap to destroy any creature, and it can't be regenerated. And the other one is Arcanus the Omnipotent. Once we really start going off, we want to be able to draw cards because we'll have so much that we can do. So he just helps us get there. Lots of draw card ability. Next, we're going to dive into a couple of our angels. The first one is a great one. Again, if we're playing big, beefy things for 5 mana a pop, we're going to do something like Avacyn, where everything we have is indestructible. So unless people are exiling our board or cyclonic rifting us, you're literally going to be in an impossible scenario of actually doing something to us. We're indestructible real quick. Iona, this one just helps us mute the thing we're most afraid of as far as color. So let's say everybody's commander happens to have black in it, and we call black. That means nobody gets to cast their commanders anymore. Likely most of their destroy spells are gone because they can't cast those anymore. It's just nice. It's nice and annoying. The next are our Eldrazi, and this one is easily my favorite for 2 reasons. One, it's really good, and 2, it's really fun to scream out, "You can't even," because that's what this card does. So for 5 mana, you put the Void Winnower on the board. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana cost, so they can't even. And your opponents can't block with creatures with even converted mana cost. So, the most satisfying moment with this one was, I hate those Mercil decks, and Mercil is 4 mana. And, when you pop that back to try to do its things again, well, now you can't even do that. So, Void Winnower. Kozilek, the Great Distortion. You're going to see a lot of Eldrazi, because anytime we can play Eldrazi, and when I say play, cast it and not have to resurrect it for 5 mana, we're going to do it. So we got Kozilek, the Great Distortion, a great card. We got the only Emrakul that we can play in Commander. Would love to have the original one, obviously. But we can't, and this one is, really powerful too. Not to sell it short, it's a great card. You got Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, maybe the best of the Eldrazi in a situation like this for Commander. It's just so powerful. Again, you're casting it, so we get to exile 2 permanents. It's indestructible, and we're decking people, and not just putting it in their graveyard either. We're exiling those cards. Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, the next one that I think is the next most powerful one. Annihilator is really good, but also getting that draw ability is great. And even if somebody finds a way to destroy it, we get to shuffle it right back into our library with our whole graveyard, which is kind of nice. And then we have the Artisan of Kozilek. So if we've got something in the graveyard, it's just nice to be able to resurrect it back out. So if somebody kills our Avacyn somehow, or Iona, or something that is giving us a good lock of the Void Winnower, this is just a quick way to get it back onto the battlefield. And then we've got Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, the original Ulamog, just another good one. Again, shuffles back into our library if it's destroyed, but it is indestructible. It destroys a permanent and that Annihilator ability. Next, we got the Bringers. We got Bringer of the Blue Dawn. This just helps us draw more cards. And we got Bringer of the Black Dawn, which lets us basically tutor for anything we want. Yeah, endless vampiric tutors. The nice thing about the Bringers, too, for some reason, if Jodah keeps getting killed, we can still do that 5 mana cast with these even without Jodah, which is just nice. Now we'll move on to the Praetors. I'm using 3 of them. We got Sheoldred. You should know what this one is. It's pretty powerful. We get something back from our graveyard. Everybody else at the beginning of their upkeep has to sacrifice a creature, so that's great. Jin-Gitaxias. This guy's ridiculous. We basically make it so, people can't have cards in their hand anymore. And that's cool. We like that. And it has flash. And then we got Vorinclex. So this lets us double up our mana again. And again, it's so good to be able to do that because it lets us fire at least a couple spells a turn for that 5 color. Runescarred Demon just lets us tutor something we need. So it's just another way to dig through our deck for the perfect answer. Platinum Empyrean. Well, it is vulnerable to most kill spells. It's something that early in the game is nice to get out. And even if we stall out, we can still, through ramping, tap for 8 of anything. Everybody, you're going to become the enemy so quickly with this deck. And at least that's in my experience. Very quickly, everyone wants me dead, which, who knows? I don't get it. Don't know why. But they want me dead. So this is just a nice way to lock things down and keep yourself alive especially if they're doing things that aren't direct damage necessarily, nothing that they're swinging at you, but they're, you know, playing some sort of slime foot ability or anything like that that just whittles away at you, Perforos, stuff like that. This just makes you a little bit more safe. Ramos, because, you know, we get to turn this engine on, and anytime we remove the counters to get to cast 2 spells with Jodah is amazing. And then Progenitus, what would it be without him? If we can get a protection from everything out for 5 mana, that's great. Even if we, you know, lose Jodah, but we're able to tap for 5, and maybe we got Zendikar Resurgence, it's just, you know, again, still easy enough to get out. So that's the creatures. The next thing we're going to dive through are the Planeswalkers, and I included just a few of these. Basically every Nicol Bolas, or not basically, I think literally, well no, I guess not the newest one, but the Nicol Bolas Planeswalkers, we have them all in here because they're just so powerful, especially for 5 mana. So we've got God Pharaoh, we've got Nicol Bolas the Deceiver, and we got Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. So all of the Planeswalker Bolases are in this deck. Again, just gaining control of creatures, destroying creatures is a lot of what they do. Ugin, because it's disgustingly good. Like, this is such a good card. It wipes the board and everything for us. So we have him in here again for 5 mana. It's great. Even if we have to ramp into it, it's kind of nice that it's 8 colorless. So we can still just play it and save ourselves, get us an extra turn, which is sometimes all we need. And then the last one is Karn, because again, Karn is just crazy good. Exiling permanents from either the hand or in play. And we can always restart the game if we get behind on things. So, a few good Planeswalkers. The next thing we're going to talk about is my favorite thing to do with this deck, is take extra turns. So the first one is a staple you'd all know about. It's Expropriate. You know, it depends what your council is going to do, but oftentimes we see that everybody wants to take the 2 extra turns, and giving you 2 extra turns is real dangerous. So that's our first 2 extra turn card. We got Nexus of Fate. So again, getting to take an extra turn and getting to play this again at some point is pretty broken. So, and especially when we're doing it for 5 mana, so more extra turns. Next one is Time Stretch for 5 mana. We get to take 2 extra turns. So not too expensive either. It's come down a bit in price. I don't think it sees as much play, but when we can take 2 extra turns for 5 mana, people get real angry. And then Karn's Temporal Sundering. I included this one because we're doing it when we have legendaries on the board, so I'm not worried about the legendary sorcery aspect so much. We'll have so much of that out there. And, you know, in Commander, it's just a lot easier to cast these kinds of spells. And I like the idea of being able to bounce something while we're taking the extra turn. Next, we got some of our board wipes, because this deck definitely has board wipes. And we're looking for kind of the standard ones that we could cast without Jodah, ones that maybe we have to cast with Jodah, but a lot of times we're going to get into it just fine. So Merciless Eviction, exiling is better than destroying, and we can choose other things. You know, if creatures really aren't our problem, but somebody's building some artifact army or some sort of enchantment army with, you know, an Estrad deck or any version of that now, it answers a lot of problems. Decree of Pain, it's gigantic. We can cycle it to do a little less damage to us and draw some cards. But the idea is we're destroying all the creatures and then drawing a card for everything destroyed that way. And us drawing cards, getting into that power that we can cast for cheap is pretty awesome, especially when we do it for 5 mana. Cleansing Nova, similar but not as good as Merciless Eviction. It just gives us a couple different modes to choose from. We're not always going to want to destroy creatures. Sometimes the artifacts and enchantments are really the bigger problem for us, and this just gives us a way to do that. Next is All is Dust. We could get into a place where we have a lot of non-colored permanents between, you know, Karn, Ugin, and all the Eldrazi. So this is just a great solution to clear the entire battlefield of everything but us, and then we just slam into our 3 opponents, you know, hopefully taking a couple out with that swing and not having to get around anything else they might have. And the last 2 are pretty much the same card. Plague Wind, Ingarak, and Ingarak's Wake. So to be able to pay 5 mana to destroy all creatures, and I guess with Garak, planeswalkers we don't control, pretty amazing. So both of these cards, not really expensive, really good cards. We're getting to the bottom here. So we're going to talk a little bit about, I guess, some of kind of the random cards in here, the other high-powered cards. So we have Praetor's Council. Again, it's just kind of let's say somebody's decking us, or we're running into problems, or things are just getting wiped. Because again, we are going to be the target in this situation. It turns into arch enemy so quickly because we are such a problem that must be dealt with. And this just helps us to get hopefully back in the game if our graveyard's getting filled up with everything we needed. Conflux, a garbage card. In this, it's amazing. For 5 mana, that's right, 5 mana, searching for a card of each color and putting it into our hand is ridiculous. So it's the ultimate tutor for a Jodah deck. And then, hey, why not another tutor? Demonic tutor. Again, just simple. It helps us get the answer for real quick and cheap. And right now, it's somewhat of a fair price. I mean, this is never going to be cheap, but right now you're going to get it about as low as you can get it with this reprint from Ultimate Master. So get it while it's low. Amanatu's Augury. This was one of the new commander cards. You know, people weren't super hot on it right away, but man, doing all of this for 5 mana, again, is ridiculous. It just lets us do so much, you know, fittingly good for 8 mana. I mean, that's the right price on it, but when we cheat it out for 5, people get angry. Dig Through Time, it just lets us look through a lot of cards, pick the 2 best that are the 2 that are best for us, and then put the rest on the bottom. So again, for 5 mana, it's good. Even if we have to delve it, it's pretty good. Regrowth. So this is where there's always that debate with Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness, we don't need the body for, but we want the ability. There's a huge chance that one of these gigantic monsters that we want to play, or some of these lockdown cards, get dumped into our graveyard. It's just a quick way to put it right back into our hands. Propaganda. The idea here is simple. We just want to buy time. You know, making it hard for people to swing into us is really nice. This is just a quick and easy way to do this. I actually debated on this card between this and Rhystic Studies. Rhystic Studies might be the best play. So I'm not sure yet. I'll say that this card has benefited me so much that I was at peace with it, especially with all the tutoring and other things I have, and having things like Arcanist that I draw cards with and a few other things really helped me not need Rhystic Studies, but Rhystic Studies might be the better play technically, but Propaganda worked for me. Arcane Denial, it's just a nice counter spell. One that 1 blue and a colorless to counter any spell. It was just, you know, just an efficient ad for me. Swords to Plowshares. Don't have to say a lot here. Another good exile target creature spell if something's becoming a problem when we're building our army. Anguished Unmaking, just being able to exile any permanent is always nice. Again, not too expensive of a card, pretty solid. Assassin's Trophy, any permanent, again, getting to target lands if they become a problem for us, if there's any of those special lands out there. Actually had a friend last night play a land that was infuriating, where it makes you basically not die, so that needed Assassin's Trophy. And then the superpower, guys, Omniscience. If you get lucky enough to open up your hand with an Omniscience and you can get this out on turn 4 or 5, it is almost game over. You have so much power, and to be able to just cast it freely for the rest of the game is going, well, again, this is why you become a target quickly when they see something like this, but it is so much fun, you guys. It is the funnest way to play this deck. The second you can get Omniscience out, and then all of a sudden every Eldrazi's on the board, it's terrifying. Last thing that we want to talk about is Fist of Suns. If we get trapped in some situation where we can't get Jodah out, maybe they have their own Void Winnower or something like that, or they just keep killing it where it's getting too expensive to cast Jodah, Fist of Suns is kind of our backup plan. It lets us do the exact same thing with an artifact. So that's it for Jodah's Christmas Miracles. Casting things for free or cheap or 5 colors, however you want to look at it. He's making miracles for us. He's doing some things that we love to do, and he is making this commander deck unexpectedly fun. It is, at this point, probably my most favorite deck to play. He is so powerful, and I didn't even realize it until I luckily opened a foil and said, hey, I want to see what my take on this is. And it's got some similarities. I think everybody wants to play Omniscience, but some weird things too, like the Magmatic Force. You'd be shocked at how good being able to Lightning Bolt at the beginning of each upkeep is. It's crazy good. So that's it for the deck. But I mentioned earlier, we have a Gleam link below. You got to use that Gleam link if you want to get this. And some of the easiest ways to earn the points to get in the drawing for the Gleam link is, you know, subscribing to the channel, watching this video in its entirety, hitting the thumbs up button. Some pretty easy stuff. You know, it doesn't cost you a penny. So the first thing we're going to give you is, well, Jodah. How do you build a Jodah deck if I didn't give you Jodah? So he's all yours. The next thing is the best tutor you could ever hope for. Conflux. Yep, you thought it was garbage, but with this deck, it's amazing. This could be yours. Oops. Oh, I peeked. Omniscience. That's right. I want you to be able to do the best thing that this deck does, and that's cast things for free should you get this out. So Omniscience is yours if you're the winner. Then, one of the extra turn spells, Karn's Temporal Sundering. Karn's Temporal Sundering. I think I said that wrong. So, one of the extra turn spells. The Tide Spout Tyrant, because, you know, I want you to be able to bounce everybody's stuff back when you're casting all these spells, because that's real fun. So you get that out of the way so we can focus. There we go. And the last card is yours if you're the winner. The Platinum Empyrean Ultimate Box Topper. That's right, you guys. We are giving this to whoever wins this. This and everything else that I just showed you. The Jodah, the Conflux, the Omniscience, Karn's Temporal Sundering, the Tidespout Tyrant, and the Platinum Empyrean. One lucky winner will win this. Use the Gleam link in the description below to make that happen for yourself. Share the video. Let your friends know about us. This is Jodah's Christmas Miracles, my new favorite commander and one of my favorite commander deck techs. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you've got suggestions or questions or anything like that, please leave a comment below. We watch every comment that comes in, and we look to try to at least address all of them or speak to you all because we appreciate the constructive criticism, the love, the support, everything you guys do. It's amazing. So feel free to ask those questions. Otherwise, until next time, this is Booster Therapy. You all have a super Merry Christmas.